What's up, guys? Welcome to a making use of binary video, another one. Um, Today I got something I want to show off. It's pretty simple mechanics, but I've seen all sorts of people making cool, CPUs and whatnot, and don't understand. I mean, I understand why they make it, but I want to know how you can apply that to the game of Minecraft, because the game of Minecraft, if you are just building, is fun, but if you're playing survival, I mean, how can binary help me? So let's just get into it. This is what I built first, and what it is it's just a control, a binary control panel. So if we were to input something, we would send and then send it, and then it would send a signal out. Now this part right here is a log telling you the last couple binary things that came through. You can use this for multiple purposes. Like right here I have, you could have Redstone messaging. If you didn't want to use the chat, you could use, maybe a book or signs and just, well, it deleted it. But anyways, write what each code means in the book. This is what the wiring looks like. You got a few T flip-flops, and then I use serial to send the signal back and forth. This is currently set up to send to a different base. So this is another one I built, just a different design, same concept but different design. This one's a little bulky. The way I did it, I was just mainly trying to make it work. So I just built a huge array. I sort of refined it. This one was built to try to get these right next to each other, and it's actually kind of difficult with my knowledge and the mechanics that I was using. So to log the serial binary bits, I'm using repeater locking and just having it work kind of like a counter, or like a shift register or something. And then, of course you have to take that and condense it to a 1 by 1 by 1, and that's what the torch tower is for. This one, I didn't do that. I left it all separated and just went straight up with it. It's a lot, it's bigger, width and length, bigger X and Y, but smaller, or X and Z, but smaller on the Y value. The only difference is the redstone lamps are not right next to each other, but it'll still store the data. So that's what we sent from the other base. And then this one, I like the idea of them being right next to each other, so I was trying to figure out a way to make it easier and a smaller footprint, but you'd still be the same right next to each other. And that's what this is. We got the same torch tower setup, but everything's 1 by 1, and I'm using hoppers to store data. So each one of these, the hoppers will store whatever the data is. So the serial input comes in up here, stores the signal, and then in order to process it, it just releases one of these that correspond to whatever the serial bit is. So if I was to say the serial would come in, the serial transfer would come in, and then a few ticks later, this will process and update whatever lane needs to be updated. So if there was, say, a 1 here, if this was, hot, or if there was a 1 here, it would send the signal through to the corresponding hopper, and then when that updates, it'll release a shovel. And the reason I'm using shovels is I was going to use regular items, but I really just wanted to take up a whole space, and I didn't want to put 64 of each item in every one of those slots, because it's going to fill up this line, and that's so that there's a shovel ready to go every time an update comes through. And then it just comes through, drops down here, And then this updates the hoppers all at the same time so that these shift over. So the very next tick, this 1111 will move over 1 and then move over, and then this one will be deleted or forgot because there's no more. So yeah, and that's how all these work. On the data in is the serial comes in, and then it's stored, and then the information is sent to this. So the information is stored, and then right after the information is stored, a few ticks later, it'll send a pulse, a 1 tick pulse, so that this updates and these shift by 1 bit. So to give you an idea of how that works, ignore this for now. It's just a little idea. I want to be able to utilize this not only to be able to use some of the digits. The reason it's so big is to use some of the digits for messaging, so you could have some of these messages and then also utilize it to control, say, your farms. And most people are like, well, my farms are automatic. Well, yes and no. I'll get to that. I'll go into that in a second. We'll just talk about that in a second. But I'm going to show you basically what it does. So this is just, a clock. It's on a long delay just so you can see it. Basically, it's just every time it updates, it'll send a signal, and these will all update. And they get the same data that goes to each one of them. And every time it clicks over, you notice how the signal each one is the same from the previous. And that's the way it is on all of them. That's the way I want it to work. That's basically a log. So, and the reason I want a log is because in my survival server, I'm going to utilize this to control farms. Now, how you can do that, you can have up a standard decoder. As you can see, it's sort of processing some stuff, and then every time it processes, if it receives the right thing, it'll send a signal, and it'll send it to the data outline. And that's why I'm using serial, just because I don't want to run, depending on how many of these I got, I don't want to run 8 lines. I would just want to run 1 line or 2, because I'm going to also have information come from the farms in here to be processed. And the reason for that is, so say for instance, I have an automatic farm. We got a sugarcane farm here. What's going to happen is the sugarcane is going to fill up, and then say you got your fancy, shulker box storage unit, and then this goes, and then this runs out of shulker boxes. Now what that's going to do is that's going to come here, and it's going to be like, all right, I'm out of shulker boxes. So it's going to send a signal, and then it's going to pulse predetermined data. So when I say predetermined data, it's going to send this type of scenario. This current setup is set up. This right here is going to let this know that a farm has sent data in, and it's not a message, it's not some other type of incoming information. This bit will be used for selecting, say, hey, I need shulker boxes, I'm out. And then this is letting you know what farm it came from. And this will change depending on what farm you're at. So right now I just have it set up just with the 1 sugarcane, so it's in binary bit 1. This particular thing is just the control bit. If you don't know much about serial, this is how I determine, or how this serial line determines there's data coming through. So that's what means that I can also utilize the bit 0. So I could send a 0 signal, and that could stand for farm number 1. If I didn't have that, then I'd always have to have a bit in the 1 slot, and that's why there basically is a bit in the 1 slot, and that's the control bit. So I have it set up for 9 bits, but this makes it 10, and that's just a control bit that doesn't get used in any of the circuitry except to initiate a repeater lock, and that's just to initiate the lock. Now, the way this is going to work, and remember how I said on at that farm over there that has a line that says, hey, this is coming from a farm, and that's where this bit comes in. It's going to get stored here, and then if there's a bit there, this updates and releases this line. So if there's a bit there, it'll release, so right there, release the signal through, which sends and then ticks a pulse to this, which is another serial line, which will send a data out. And this will go to another place. So it goes down, it loops up, comes in, and it's going to connect to the data out line, or whichever line it needs to connect to go to the next phase. So and the way it's going to control with that is, at each one of these they need shulker boxes. Now, the traditional way of doing it is you have one of these set up at a farm, and you load shulker boxes, and then you have to go and make sure that each one of these has enough shulker boxes. You just have to keep rechecking it. You either put a light, and you have to go there manually. Well, that's where this is going to come in handy, and this is going to work sort of like a CPU or a microprocessor. I'm going to call it a microprocessor. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to send that signal to there, and that's going to say, hey, send a signal. And then there's going to be a station. I don't have it built yet, but it's going to be a station that has shulker boxes near my base. And what that'll do is you'll just fill that up, and you only have to fill one spot with shulker boxes. So you can have a mass storage for shulker boxes, and that'll send, anytime it sends a signal in, it's going to be like, all right, I need shulker boxes. Boom, send a signal here with the code of where they're going, and or just basically saying, I need shulker boxes at, farm, blah, 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 blah. And what that'll do is there'll be a line, and that's what this is. It'll just be a line that comes, and then it'll receive shulker boxes. And therefore you only have to have one bulk storage of shulker boxes to rule them all. So, and that, therefore you wouldn't have to go to each individual farm to restock shulker boxes. You can just restock one location at your base, and your farms are almost 100% automatic. Farms can be pretty much automatic, but there's still that one thing where you have to either, depending on what you're using, if you're using just bulk storage, then you really don't have to worry about something like this. But if you're going to have a shulker loader system, so you can store more items, because it'll go, once it's full, it'll drop, and you store those in chests, or have those sent in to a bulk storage area. And that's why so if you have a bulk storage area for that stuff, then your shulker box storage, your shulker box storage could be in the same spot. So that's my goal, and that's why this is set up this way. I think it's just a cool idea, completely unnecessary, but I think it's a cool idea to try to incorporate binary into, actual survival Minecraft. Because a lot of people build, 8-bit computers, 16-bit computers, and all this stuff, and it looks cool. You can make screens and make all sorts of cool little animations, but in the long run, that's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. And in Minecraft, the main goal of Minecraft is whatever you want, I guess, but the main function of a lot of it is gathering materials or storing materials and yeah, so that'll make life easier in survival Minecraft. So that's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. And if you really liked it, hit subscribe.